both semantically and with the frequency of it, to try to blind us. And I've seen them go from arrogant to now being fearful. What are they so afraid of, Michael?
Well, they're always afraid of the human race because this is the serf, that they've been able to enslave. And of course, the big fear is that that particular indentured servant slave might in fact wake up and throw away, all of the junk that, basically an age of awakening is what they're fearful of. Anyone who has control that's surreptitious, anyone who has a catalog of criminality like they have, these are super criminals, mega criminals, the genocides, the colonializations, the war on consciousness, all the devastation that they've wreaked. Of course, these are criminals who don't want, to be discovered or the light to be shone on them. I've often said in my work that, hey, these guys say that they're worshippers of the sun. They claim to worship light. What would happen to them? Let's see the effects on them when we turn the light of truth and knowledge onto them. See how they like it. And this
Revelation says
kind of
they traffic in the souls of men. That's really what's valuable to them, is blinders, shutting people down, darkness, destruction. Look at the artwork the elite buys, buckets of maggots, images of dead babies. I mean, this is the most popular art across the board worldwide with the elites. 100 million pounds. Sometimes $200 million, for one piece of blasphemous art. And they say, we're buying this art to worship it, to adulate it, to give it the support it deserves. So what is their master plan? If they were to win, what is the world they're trying to set up? Let's get into the technological enslavement.
They're not trying to set it up. They've already been doing it. As I said before, this imperialist movement of this juggernaut, we're only seeing the latter days of something that has been a continuous, ongoing, incremental movement, down through history. Americans tend to, not see that. They don't see, the whole movement of stuff.
Well, Michael, I see it. I'm talking about their end game. They're gearing up for something big.
Well, I believe it's basically, this ties into my work on 2012 and what's coming there. It's a sort of a 0 hour. This is the death of anything human. It doesn't mean the death of the planet. It doesn't mean, the end of nature. It doesn't even necessarily mean the end of the world. What it means is the end, and by God, anyone with their eyes open can see it's already taken place. It's a countdown to the extinction of what we would use when we say the word human. What we will have after 2012, 2015, you see, is a post-human world. They're racing headlong. You've dealt with it in Endgame.
And all their futurists, all their futurists, they are saying that they will have it by 2012 to 2020 if it's Kurzweil. You're right. They are incrementally now, but accelerating it, turning all the systems on.
Well, remember, what they're going to turn on happens 2012 and post. Before you can turn something on, you've got to end or bring to an end that which was before. So all the idioms, all the customs, the traditions that all the people of the world, especially of the Western world, because the Western world is now, as you see, being turned into a third world country, and the third world is rising to be a first world. What we're heading towards right now is basically a post-human dystopia in which man is either so reduced to a robotic level that he runs even more headlong into the pharmaceutical thing to drug and to escape himself, or it will literally be some sort of Blade Runner dystopia in which you are literally, going to be vaccinated in a way that changes your, being, or they've messed with our DNA.
And by the way, 20 years ago, they had live viruses, and now they're advertising them, that go in and create lobotomies in key areas of the brain. The viruses attack specific brain tissues to literally create mindless, gibbering automatons, and all of them say this is the plan, and DARPA says this is the plan. And as horrible as this sounds, they need to do this, and they want to exterminate at least 90% of us and have 10% suboid, subhuman slave creatures that serve them.
Well, I believe if you also bring in the whole the concept of the GMOs, you start to discover that the hoarding of the actual organic seeds that nature has produced, they're siloing this, they're archiving it.
Doomsday vaults.
What's that?
They've created doomsday vaults, the Rockefellers and the UN have, because they're going to infect everything. Yeah.
Right, exactly. My vision is that they may, in fact, unleash some sort of worldwide plague on the plant life, on the flora. Mm-hmm. And then this creates us to either be interned underground or in some sort of, silo or dome situation in which only the privileged are given the right kind of food, et cetera, and that person has to be totally conformist. They either wipe out everybody else.
No, let me stop you, Michael. This is the stated reverse engineered plan. They state, they have black op wars, they have drug wars to build up the police, and they stage terror to expand the criminal control grid. Then they have smaller controlled bioweapon releases to get us into compact cities. Then they start the real mass exterminations. That is the stated plan.
I agree with you there. I absolutely have come to the same conclusions in my own work, that something along these lines is, so people are hearing us now thinking we're talking sci-fi. This is already happening. The Monsanto and the GMO is all behind this. There's something going on, and it ties back to what we said about the inability to be able to control masses of people through the gun-to-the-head system. That has been tried. It doesn't work. The next kind of colonialism that we're going to experience, the next kind of imperialism, is going to be a genetic one. We deal with this in the Architects of Control DVD. That DVD covers a lot of ground, actually, and it also goes into the psychological question of why people lend themselves to this kind of submission. I don't know if we have time to talk about it on
No, we will. We will. We have plenty of time. We're going to have you back soon. We have a whole other hour and 10 minutes coming up. But the point you're making, Monsanto said in '99 in a public speech, it was in major papers, that they plan to infect everything so that then no one has a choice. They admit that this is meant to take over the entire biosphere, and with the Terminator genes and others, end the regular life cycle. The carbon tax is meant to be a tax on humans to literally say that humans are bad, with this new guild of millions per country of environmental enforcers. One-child policy, all of this. I don't think the public understands. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, that was only warm-up for what they're getting ready to do.
Well, that's my main point. It's warm-up. What we're seeing now is just the preliminary tip of the iceberg. Now this the Architects of Control DVD is actually dedicated to Jim Keith and to also Ezra Pound, and these are two people that have a big impact on me, because Jim Keith was always looking, and I know you do as well, at this whole technological Leviathan, which is one of the greatest clubs in the hands of the elite.
Stay there, Michael Tsarion. We're going to talk behind the scenes as well now. Okay, Michael, just to be clear, because you talked about only having an hour, you know you're on with us for a whole nother hour, correct?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, good. Again, we're on the internet right now. We could skip this break right now, but I don't want to get into any of the main subject you're going to be covering, because I want to share all this with everybody out there on the AM and FM shortwave satellite and the rest of it. And I keep jumping in because I just want to back up everything you're saying. I think we need to reach out, like you said 40 minutes ago, to the minions of this, the mid-level servants who believe the utopia they're being sold. Most of them, I don't think, understand they're not going to be part of this. But then on the other side, you have the nihilistic scientists who I notice are clustered all around bioweapons labs and biology departments, like Eric Pianka. And the issue is, he says, kill 90% of us now, they're born Ebola. He can't wait for his own family to die. And we even got the FBI to go out and talk to him. The point is, he gets 95% standing ovation, with the scientists crying when he talks about how everyone's going to be killed. And then his graduate students send me threatening letters saying, look, he's not extreme. Most of us believe everyone should be killed. And you Google the person's name, and there they are in a white lab coat working at a bioweapons lab. So the point is, when they make a movie like 13 Monkeys, they're not playing games, folks. Just like we told you about the economic stuff that was going to happen. It's like I told you about government-sponsored terrorism that was coming, and then it happened. Believe me, all we're doing is opening up the TV guide and telling you what the enemy says they're going to do. This is in white papers. This is in UN biological diversity assessments. This is the stated operation. And so when we come back, I want to get into that. But just briefly behind the scenes, they're not all-powerful. They're not invincible. Just like in the fake French Revolution, the Illuminati Revolution, they tried to go to a 10-day work week. They tried to change the calendar, change the clocks. They tried to destroy everything that had previously been there and remake it, but that failed. And I know they now have high-tech systems, but I don't see them. I don't see their program being on schedule, Michael.
Well, of course, that's what happened in 2000. Everyone thought they were going to cap the pyramid. It was all going to happen then. And, they have delays. They even have dynastic rivalries. They've got, when you're building a new world order, you have to also feed the dogs. What's been happening in the last 10 years, especially even with Iraq and Iran, and what they're wanting to do is these kinds of territorial urges and the fight for oil does not bother the people who are orchestrating this at the top of the pyramid. That's just the stuff for the oily rags the sort of sub-level dynastic concerns, you know, the Cheneys, the Bushes, the people like that, the Margaret Thatchers, them and their family need to be paid off. So what you're seeing in the last 10 years since the new millennium begun is the feeding of the monkey. You've got to feed the lizard.
Well, also, it's important to demonize America and have all of this heaped on us to discredit free market capitalism, which it isn't. So we have to be made the bad guys so the new, monopolar New World Order can rise up out of Europe. Here we go. Michael Tsarion is our guest. MichaelTsarion.com's website. Link up on Infowars.com right now. It's hard to believe, but in my film Endgame, we only show you the tip of the iceberg about who these global controllers are. I mean, how do you get scientists in the U.S. and Russia and everywhere to go nerve gas little children or test radiation on children and kill them, or test it on troops? That isn't about testing the nerve gas. They know it'll kill a person, or the radiation. It's about creating cadres of scientists who will buy into this and who enjoy exercising the psychopathic power to create larger cadres of subunits to serve the New World Order going into the mass extermination. And I want you to know, they're going to claim Al-Qaeda did it or claim it came out of a lab, but when you and your family are dying, especially you police out there, you